today we are breaking down the new Miracle Worker Precon from Duskmourn, helmed by Aminatou the Veil Piercer. And well, yeah, this is a miracle deck and it's going to take a miracle to get it working. So let's do this. So let's start things off with Aminatou Veil Piercer, the commander of the deck. 1 white, blue, black, legendary creature, human wizard, and there are 2 for. They read, at the beginning of your upkeep, Surveil 2. Surveil 2, nice and easy. Look at the top 2 cards of your library. You like them, you put them back on top in any order, or you can put them into your graveyard, yeah? It's like Scry, but you go to graveyard instead of on the bottom. Awesome stuff. Each enchantment card in your hand has Miracle. Its Miracle cost is equal to its mana cost reduced by 4. Okay, so Miracle is an ability that works whenever you draw the first card on each turn, so not just your turn, any turn. The first card you draw, you can cast it for its Miracle cost, yeah? But you have to cast it then and there. Yeah, there's no putting it to your hand, going to your main phase, you know, waiting in response to something and then casting it for its miracle. It has to be when you draw it. Now, all our enchantments with Aminatou are going to have the miracle, but it's going to be reduced by 4. So say you have 4 generic mana and 1 white pip, you can cast that for its miracle cost, which will be 1 white pip. So you see it's a massive cost reducer for the first card you draw, if it's an enchantment. So lots of prerequisites to hit in order to make this happen. This does seem like a fun deck that's going to be full of those little, like, I got you moments, like, I did it, I managed to get the big thing miracled off the top at the right time, you know, and when those moments happen, it'll, like, be very cool. But I feel like there could be too many moments where you're spending so much time looking for stuff and yet everybody else is developing their board state and you could get left in the dust. So let's break this down and have a look at the deck construction. So let's look at this deck. We've got 22 creatures, 9 sorceries, 9 instants, 15 enchantments. We're running 37 lands and 7 artifacts. So to say this is going to be based around enchantments, we only have 15 actual enchantment permanents, but we do have a few actual enchantment creatures, maybe another 5 or 6 enchantment creatures. So this enchantment count is actually probably around 20, 21, something like that. Yeah, we also have a bunch of actual miracle cards. So if Aminatou is not on the battlefield, we can still miracle. You can see which one's the miracle cards because of the extra fancy border they have. So there's a few of those, which is nice because that means we've got some resiliency if Aminatou is not in play. One thing that I am a little concerned about is when we draw a card on each of our opponent's turns, if we manage to succeed that, manipulate the top of our deck and get those cards drawn on our opponent's turn, we need to have the right mana available. And as you can see, Avanox, 3 black pips, 2 black pips, 2 blue, 2 black, white and black. You know, there's a lot of double pips everywhere. So we've got to have the right mana up to deal with the card that we've just manipulated to the top. So I don't think these signets are going to cut it. Mindstone definitely isn't. You could probably even get rid of Soul Ring in all honesty. So Brainstone is a nice include because it allows more top deck manipulation, but obviously it's a one-time use, just like actual Brainstorm, which is in the deck as well. Top deck manipulation, more enchantments, and better mana. I mean, it's a tough call. Once again, somewhere between 10 and 20 cards. Let's see what we can do. Whew. Okay, so we've done it, sort of. Let's go over the cards that I've removed. I've removed 21 cards in total. So we've got the Celespawn, the Burnished Heart, the Master of Keys, the Verge Rangers, we've got the Nightmare Shepherd, Phenomenon, Solemn Simulacrum, Archetype of Imagination, Aetheros, Dream Eater, Fear of Sleep Paralysis, Metamorphose Fanatic, and we've got Avanox, the Mind Player. I am so getting comments about half these cards I've removed. We've got Read the Bones, Time Warp, Azorius Signet, Mindstone, Orthodox Signet. We've got Life Insurance, Spirit Sisters Call, and the Eldest Reborn. So just a few things about some of these cards, like look at the crazy mana values on all of these and how many coloured pips they are. It's just, even with Miracle, 4 cost reduced, it's still going to be tricky to cast, and we've got to hit a lot of requirements before this. I was upset about removing the Dream Eater because it has Surveil and it helps us do that top deck manipulation. I was struggling about this one as well, the Fanatic, because it has Miracle, but it's also, if we don't cast it for its miracle cost, 6 mana to get 1 thing back from our graveyard with a lifelink counter, I'm just not sure it's good enough. Although lifelink in this deck is like kind of needed because we've got lots of ways to spend life to do stuff. Verve Rangers, look at the top card of your library, play lands from the top, but only if your opponents control more lands than you. So if you flood out, you could end up getting yourself screwed over if you've got this in play. I tried to keep Burnished Heart and Solemn Simulacrum in the deck for as long as possible because they enable colour fixing by fetching yourself some basic lands. Celisborn obviously makes demons and stuff cheaper, but we want to make enchantments cheaper in case we've not got Aminatou on the battlefield, so that's why that's come out, but still a solid card. Read the Bones is obviously card draw, but it's sorcery speed, so we're going to scry 2, sure, but then we're going to draw those 2 cards, so it doesn't set us up for top deck manipulation on our opponent's turns. Yeah, Signets, like I mentioned before, they're just too slow. Time Wipe, just bad board wipe. Eldest Reborn is obviously removal, but opponents are going to choose what creature they sacrifice, so it's not that great. It's an enchantment though, same as Spirit Sister Calls, just gets things in and out of your graveyard, which is nice if the bad thing's gone and you've got something bad you want to swap it with. Life Insurance was a tough call as well because it creates tokens and we kind of need the mana we need at very specific points. However, I would say if you have the budget for it, get a Smothering Tithe and put it in this deck so you can colour fix and also ramp. So right, let's look at all the new stuff. Start off with the ramp or the colour fixing that we've added to this deck. Farewell Stone, Dominance, Hierarchy and Progress, so Talismans of Dominance, Hierarchy and Progress, and Chromatic Lantern. This enables us to have the right coloured mana we need at the right point because we're trying to manipulate the top card of our deck on our opponent's turn, draw it on our opponent's turn, and then cast the miracle card as well. So we need to make sure all of our lands tap for all colours, so if we flood heavy into one colour, it doesn't matter. Yeah, we're going to be taking a lot of damage from these talismans because we're going to be using them for the colours, but don't worry, we've got some lifelink in this deck to gain some life back. New spells that I've added is Consider, Mystical Speculation, Opt, Preordain, Deliberate, and Temporal Mastery. Temporal Mastery is a miracle card, so even if Aminatou is not in play, it's okay, we still have the miracle effect. The others are all about manipulating the top card of our library and then drawing cards at both sorcery and instant speed. Mystic Speculation is just great because it's 3 mana buyback, comes straight back into our hand, scry 3, you know, and we can do that every turn on our turn to set up the top 3 for our next 3 opponents' turns. New enchantments I've added. We've got Estrid's Invocation, which is basically just the best enchantment we have on the battlefield at any point, and it can change every upkeep. Propaganda, because like we have Sphere of Safety in this deck, we need to spend time setting up, manipulating the top card of our deck. We don't want people to be beating us down while we're doing that, so this just dissuades people from attacking us. Bit Pillar 14. We have Greed, 1 mana, pay 2 life, draw a card. This is just another way of enabling us of drawing a card on our opponent's turn, and it's enchantment-based theme, so that's all good. And then we have got another room with Restricted Office and a Lecture Hall. So yeah, it gives all of our opponents hexproof if it comes down on Lecture Hall side, and if we use a Restricted Office, we're going to destroy all creatures power 3 or greater. Obviously, we're not running many creatures now in this deck, so nice to have another little bit of board wipe because we are removal light in this deck. Just be careful when you play this because you could kill a lot of your own stuff because a lot of our stuff is 3 power greater. Enchantment creatures. Inquisitive Glimmer, Fear of Infamy, Starhelm Corsair, Archon of Sun's Grace, this is the lifelink I was talking about earlier, and Zephyrim. So Inquisitor and Starhelm reduce enchantment cost by 1. So if Aminatou is not in play, we're not relying on that miracle cost, we have cost reducers here. Fear of Infinity just keeps coming in and out of our graveyard as we play enchantments. It also has lifelink, keeping us above any dangerous points of life loss. And Zephyrim is obviously just another great miracle card, because if we cast it for its miracle cost, we can dump a load of mana into the squad and just make loads and loads of copies of it. Oh, the other card I added is Doom Whisperer. So yeah, another way of paying life. Surveilling 2, obviously we can do that on our opponent's turn. So if we only have a couple of mana available, say we have 1 blue mana available, we can Doom Whisperer, Surveil 2 a bunch of times, get that top deck manipulated, and then Consider, boom, sorted, draw the card, cast it for its miracle cost, yeah? So we can be a bit more resource efficient with what mana we have available, yeah? There is 3 cards here in the sideboard. I've put these here just in case people want to swap these out for any of the other cards that I removed, because these 3 were also on the cutting block, let's say. A Return to Dust is just 4 mana, it's too expensive to be casting at instant speed, and obviously you only get a benefit from casting at sorcery speed, so we don't want to be casting lots of stuff at sorcery speed. We kind of like doing untap, upkeep, draw, set up what we need with a couple of mana, pass the turn, and then we want a miracle on everyone else's turn, yeah? So not a lot of stuff we want to be casting on our turn, so Return to Dust is a potential cut. Same for Thirst for Meaning. Obviously, draw 3 cards is fantastic, but there's no top deck manipulation within that card. And obviously then we have to discard. And if we discard our enchantments, we've not got many ways to bring them back because I didn't go down that route of recursion. So yeah, that's another one. And it's also 3 mana. So yeah, if you've got to manipulate the top deck and then cast this, that's a lot of mana to do on your opponent's turns. So yeah, there we go. That's why those 3 are there. You could potentially just replace these with the original signets and use the signets to give yourself some more mana. The mana curve, you can see it's not perfect, but it's also quite deceptive. If we look at the 11 mana cost card, it's actually the Restricted Office and Lecture Hall, which is actually most likely going to be a 4-drop. So that'll be over here somewhere. And then same with the 8 mana one, that's actually going to be a 3-drop, which is up here, which smooths out a little bit more. So yeah, it's not awful. The land split in this deck is a bit ski-whiffed. Obviously, we've removed a lot of the heavy black pip cards, so you can remove some of the black basic swamps. I think there's 5 in the deck, so if you remove 2 or 3 of them and then put those into blue and white mana, maybe do 2 and then do 1 each just to make sure our white mana sources and blue mana sources are covered a little bit more, that would be great. But yeah, that is the deck. There is a lot more to do within this deck, and a lot more you can do to make it a lot better. Ledger Shredder, Fairy Mastermind, Karmic Justice. Obviously, you've got Mystic Remora, Rhystic Study, those type of effects. Those could also be absolute fantastic includes in this deck, making sure we can draw multiple cards on our opponent's turns, while also having presence on the battlefield. Karmic Justice. It's obviously a fantastic enchantment that comes down, and if they target your stuff, you target their stuff and blow it up. So it covers that removal weakness that this deck has, because we are literally running a Swords to Plowshare and Arcane Denial, Utter End, and Ink Shield. That's it. Or there is the cast out as well. So yeah, obviously, if you need more colour fixing, you could go Smothering Tithe. That is also a good shout. More ways to dissuade people from attacking you. Troubling Pairs. You know, so there's lots of ways we could do this. There is also the Smuggler's Share, which some people like it, some people don't like it. I'm quite a fan because most people do draw multiple cards on each of their turns, so that's another thing you could do. I just want to take a moment to ask a question, and that's, who is this deck for? Like, I love enchantment decks, and don't get me wrong, this, like I said, this is a nice take on enchantment decks, but this is quite a tricky deck. There's a puzzle to be solved as you're doing this and drawing cards and figuring your way through the 99. Like, manipulating the top card of your deck during your upkeep so you get a better draw step to then miracle things out, and then do the same on your opponent's turns and respond at the points that benefits you over the stuff that they're doing. So there's a few little tricky nuances, and it's those little bits of information of like understanding steps, phases, and priorities that will take this deck from playing down here to playing up here. And so a new player that walks into a shop and picks this up, I think is going to struggle, and they're going to get like a really not bad experience, but not the best experience out of this deck. So if you're a brand new player and you're just about to start and you're thinking about picking this deck, don't. I would not recommend this for a new player. If you're 3 or 4 precons in, thinking about doing and building your own deck, but not quite ready to take that step yet, you're a bit scared, then maybe at this point you've probably built up enough knowledge to then do this. So yeah, for a precon, I know this deck, obviously I watched the interview from Magic when they put out the release of this, and it all seems to be built around fun and having a good time, and then big gotcha moments like draw a card, boom, cast this for miracle, draw a card, boom, cast this for miracle. And it's like, that's great and all, but those moments are going to be few and far between, which is obviously why I've added so much top deck manipulation to make that a bit more consistent. But yeah, it's going to have those great moments when it happens, but when that doesn't happen, I'm just worried that this deck is going to fall flat a little bit. So yeah, let me know what you would do with this deck in the comments below, because yeah, it's a bit of a tricky one. And yeah, maybe I've missed something that you guys just see and is as clear as day to you. So yeah, drop some comments down below on how you would tackle this deck, and I will see you all in the next video. Oh, don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Thanks guys. Goodbye for now.